So first, I went around searching for a recent article discussing the current state of steel tariffs. And I found an article that was actually just written a week ago that discusses President Trump's tariff policies that had a profound effect on the international steel industry. So for the article, it's called US Trade Commission admits tariffs raise prices for American consumers. And just going to the article real quick, the article talks about how just 5 years after Trump declared a trade war with China and creating new tariffs on steel as well as aluminum, it increased prices and reduced the availability of tariff goods, as the article states. The article then talks about how the steel tariffs caused imports into the US to fall by 24% and then cause the prices for steel products to rise up to 2.4%. So this in turn caused a domestic steel production to be $1.3 billion higher because of the tariffs. So the higher prices forced costs onto businesses to buy the steel and aluminum. And as a result, it cut production by as much as 0.6%. So now just going back to the PowerPoint, there were a lot of stakeholders that were affected by the tariffs enacted by President Trump. So one of them is a domestic steel industry, as they benefited a lot from the steel tariffs through Trump. So, for example, in the article, the tariffs on the steel products helped create thousands of jobs in the steel industry. However, there were also some jobs that were lost as well. The stakeholders involved in the domestic steel industry can include the companies, the workers, the laborers, um, employees, and the logistics in the United States. The article talks about how the workers typically benefit from the steel production covered by the tariffs. And then another stakeholder involved is the global steel exporters. So the exports were impacted with paying more on the steel through the tariffs imposed. So as a result, there were less exports to the US as countries were impacted. The less exports led into the next slide of the logistics. The logistics and the transportation is another stakeholder that faced a negative result as well from the exports and the tariffs. So the consumers of the steel were another stakeholder impacted as they had to pay a higher price. So, as the article talked about with construction, for example, as they're buying the steel and the aluminum, it could result in less profits for the different businesses that use the steel and aluminum. And then a final stakeholder is the regulating authorities at the trade organizations were supposed to avoid the tariffs, but they couldn't as Trump related the tariffs to national security concerns. So this transitions to if I were a CEO of a foreign steel producer. So from the textbook, I would make sure that there was corporate governance and as a CEO, communicate with the three groups relating to the big issue of the tariff. So this includes a board of directors, top management, as well as the shareholders. There would need to be a strategy in place to have a plan around the tariffs and we could even create a committee as I'm the CEO and I can enact that. One of the strategies we could create in this committee would be to sell to other markets rather than focus on the foreign markets as we've done in the past as a company, because now we're paying a significant amount in the tariffs. So, as a CEO, I could look at selling domestically to avoid paying the foreign taxes. And then I could also pass on the costs to American customers with the increased costs.